You may have heard about deep litter. This is a bedding practice that saves you lots of time, and for that reason, many people love it and use it. I don't use the deep litter method, so I can't speak from experience. However, I have researched it extensively and have spoken with chicken owners who do employ it. Here is an overview. Start with fresh litter that is at least 3 to 4 inches deep, about 8 to 10 centimeters. As your chickens poop, you don't scoop out the manure every day. Instead, once a week you throw fresh bedding on top of the soiled litter. Not having to scoop poop is a huge time saver. Also, it is believed that the microbes, which break down the bedding, destroy harmful bacteria and discourage lice and mite infestations. In this way, if managed correctly, deep litter can be good for your chicken's health. And, as it breaks down, deep litter may add warmth to the coop during the coldest months, keeping things more cozy. One of the keys to deep litter is a periodic stirring. You can do this with a rake or shovel, or you can rely on your chickens to do it. Tossing out an occasional treat on the coop floor will encourage them to scratch around and mix up the litter. It's important that you don't allow large amounts of manure to accumulate. For instance, the poop under their roost needs to be broken up and worked into the bedding. You don't want your chickens constantly exposed to the unhealthiness of their own waste. Your litter will build up over time and become excellent compost, assuming you are using compostable material. Once it reaches a depth of about 12 inches, roughly 30 centimeters, you should only need to add to it once a month. Deep litter works best with a maximum depth of 18 inches or so, about 45 centimeters. Anything deeper than that becomes extremely difficult to manage when it's time to empty out the coop. And yes, you do have to periodically remove your deep litter and start all over with fresh bedding. Some people do this twice a year, some just annually. Because deep litter can produce heat, you don't want your litter to be at maximum depth during the hottest months. This is why most chicken owners do their clean out as the cooler weather is ending and warmer months are just ahead. When you do your clean out, leave a shallow base layer of old litter. This ensures that the new bedding will be inoculated with microbes needed for composting. As you do your clean out, the material at the very bottom of your litter should smell more like dirt than manure. If there is still a strong poop smell, you may want to let it further break down on your compost pile before using it in your garden. Now, before you decide to use the deep litter method, you need to consider several things. First, does your coop have adequate ventilation? The bottom of your deep litter needs to remain moist so it can decompose. With all of this moisture being created, it's essential that you have good airflow in order to prevent your hens from developing respiratory illnesses and frostbite. Next, do you have the right floor in your coop? Dirt is probably the best floor for deep litter, but that opens you up to the threat of predators tunneling in. If you have a wood floor, it will absorb moisture and could eventually rot. You may want to add a moisture-resistant barrier such as linoleum. You also need to consider if your coop doors will accommodate extremely deep bedding. Will the doors still shut if the litter is 10 inches, 25 centimeters deep? If you need to get inside to collect eggs, will this make it more difficult for you? Next is the type of bedding material you will use. Most people use pine shavings or straw for their deep litter. Although I am a big advocate of sand, I don't see it working as a deep litter. Also, if you're not removing your chicken's manure, how do you keep things smelling fresh? You can add a poultry-safe deodorizer to reduce the odor and to repel flies and other pests. I use one called Sweet PDZ and really like it. Some people like to add diatomaceous earth. I would do this sparingly. DE is a drying agent, and it seems to me that adding a lot of DE would be detrimental to the composting process. But DE is very good in other applications. To sum all of this up, when it comes to litter maintenance, the biggest question is, do you want to do a little work each day using a basic litter setup? Or would you rather use a deep litter and have a lot of work a couple of times a year? Both are good options. Consider the pros and cons of both and pick the one that is right for you.